Come on. It's a kind of magic. Do,
I
do,
had to
do.
answer my brother, so it was waiting for me.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay.
Talk about magic, see?
Really? There you go. You made the magic. So, welcome everybody. I realize it's late in the eastern part of the country where both Diana and Valerie are. But Jay and I are happily ensconced out here in Seattle, and it's only 7 p.m. So, yeah, we'll send you some energy. We'll send you some.
Thank you.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
It's
I
okay.
have with me, I have Jay, who's Majestic Oracle, and I adore her. She's been on the show before. And she is a very creative soul, as you can see from her background there and all her jewelry. It's just gorgeous. And I also have my friend Diana Bowles, who's the dream detective person, and also the astrology person, and the Maybon. Is that how you say it? Maybon?
Ma
Mabon.
Ma bon.
Ma.
But if you put your accent on it correctly, ma bon.
Mabon. All right. And then we have lovely Valerie, who I haven't seen in a long, I'm not even going the right way. Sorry, Valerie. There we go. Here's my friend Valerie.
There, down.
Yes, thank you, Jay. All right. So I came up with this idea, I think it was last month. And I just said I wrote to these ladies and I said, what do you think about doing a show around the solstice? I know it's after it, or not the equinox, sorry. And to talk about magic and talk about it through creativity, astrology, card reading, whatever you want to talk about. That's what we're talking about, because I really honestly feel that we are living in a magical world and that we can create our own magic, but we have to believe in that and we have to work toward that goal. So I would really love it if you would let us know what you think about magic. How do you perceive magic in your own world, ladies? Who wants to go first? What do you think about it?
I'll go first. Magic to me is energy. Energy is magic. So everything's energy. And Diana and I have had these shows a few times, and we're going to continue with that, where we talk about the 12 universal spiritual laws. And this is these are things we do automatically all day long, but we can be our own worst enemy. If I can't have that, or no, that's not. But if you know how to speak it correctly into existence, you can create anything you want.
You can. Even bad people can do it, unfortunately, which is really awful. But we have to counteract that. So we'll counteract that.
We do.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Diana?
Yeah? What do you think?
You know, it's just such an ongoing thing. It's energy, it's movement, it's tempo, it's frequency, it's vibration, it's being present. It is being susceptible to that vibration.
Yes.
And everything that's around you, and pulling a thread out of it and pulling a thread out of that and tying them together. Throwing them over your shoulder like a continental soldier.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. And it is belief. It's intention and belief.
It is.
Yeah. And I think we doubt it otherwise. Yeah.
And I was very lucky. My mom lived by, you can be anything you want to be.
Yes.
And I was born, in 1949, and there were still a lot of women who didn't have that philosophy.
Oh, I know.
So for this young mother of 19 years old, because she was 19 years old, she had that philosophy still in her head. She'd lived through World War II. Life was on the up and up, and all she could, you can be anything you want to be. You can do anything you want to do. Honest, you can do it.
That's fabulous. You had that from your mother. You're right. There's not a lot of, that wasn't a real thing then.
Exactly.
More so nowadays, we told our kids that.
And perhaps I can give a good shout out to her mother and her grandmother.
There you go.
Because they listened to Edgar Casey.
That's right. That's right.
You know, and Einstein and all of the creative.
And give a shout out to you for being the mother that also perpetuated that in your own family.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sure. So Jay, I want to give you a chance to weigh in here.
Okay. Well, magic. To me, I think magic is a gift and a blessing and a superpower that I kind of feel like, in the way of the, you know, those movies, the X-Men, where they all have those gifts and they go to, you know, they all have their special powers and,
Right.
you know, they're trying to help the, in that way, it's like, but it's real world.
Right.
And I just wish more people believed in the white magic, you know, the positive, the light magic. Because I think that as much, you know, energy and talent as the whole world has, just focusing in on how to actually do something great with it, I think would change a lot. But I think in this way that keeping these types of topics out there is really good for the next generation, you know, like my own, you know, daughter. So I'm hoping that it won't ever go out. I mean, it'll change and it'll switch, but I don't want it to ever leave. And I hope that it becomes a more open topic, you know, without
more
it,
accepted.
without
Absolutely.
that spiritual part of it, not so much, you know, religion and looking at it in that, you know, because we're about to get into spooky season, and that's when, you know, pagans, you know, get labeled the bad witches and, you know, all of that.
So much judgment.
You know, prejudice.
Yeah.
I know, and they don't even really know what it's
about. They don't know. Yeah,
you know?
You're right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So,
how about you?
For me, it's this is magic. This is magic. It's sharing, it's collaborating, it's having people come here and share what they think. It's the perpetuation and the continuation of the sharing, the stories, the beliefs, the new information that can be brought in from everybody, because everybody's like a big piece of a puzzle. And, you know, we're always trying to, and there's always one that's underneath the couch. I can't, you know, and they need to be on the couch. But that's what keeps it interesting too, doesn't it? It's like the puzzle's never completely finished, but you know, it is there for us, and it's there for us to just work on and not be mad. You know how, I don't know about you ladies, but I've had a problem where I thought a puzzle piece would fit, and I was damn well going to make it fit. You know, I wanted to take a hammer and put, you know,
I've done that.
You can't, you can't force that though. You can't force any of this. This has to come from your ability to be open and your ability to be interested in the magic, and we can all access it. Yeah, we can all access the magic. Yes.
It's beautiful.
I think in that puzzle way of thinking of things, I think the brain works in that way when it comes to gifts as well. Like you have to have like a certain talent when you're putting together a puzzle or a cube or something to know how it fits. And I feel like, you know, when you have certain gifts, it can sometimes just click. I've never been great at puzzles, but I've tried. Like to me, it fits, and I think that's where the intention goes. Like,
that's right.
Well, I'm gonna make this magic work in this way. Yeah. So,
and that's the same way with creative pursuits, which we're going to talk about, because all of the pieces that you've got that you're wearing, I believe, are made by you, but all of that is a puzzle pieces put together to make something. So I want to talk about that, but I do want to say hi to some people. So let's do that. So Leah's here, and welcome. And Queen, I love this one. Queen-ager Sin. There you go. She's not a teenager. She's a queen-ager, and I love that.
I love that.
I do too.
And Ginny, I want to thank you for being a new member and of my channel, and bless you all for what you do. Janet's here, and Juanita is here, who's working on her own magic, as most are. We have Foxy Roxy here, who writes beautiful poetry. Beautiful poetry.
I've heard.
Yes, it's wonderful. Just like Annie Bear does, and Annie Bear's here too. So
Yes.
hi, Viviani. Hi, Teresa. Yeah. We have Nancy Vasquez here, and Ginny. And Carolyn's here. I hope you got a chance to. I know you did, Diana. You caught that ghost show.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh, I want to go visit her.
I know. Me too. We'll have to take a trip to Williamsburg. What do you think?
What happened?
Well, yeah, I've been trying to get down there anyway. So
okay. Well, Carolyn and her husband are both ghost people, and they see apparitions and they send people on their way, and it's a wonderful show if you get a chance. And she is in a book. She's done some stuff over in England. So anyway, get a chance, you should check it out. Yep,
definitely.
I know it. And I know you're busy, so yeah. Warrior Girl is here, and VL is here, and Teresa Levine. It's so nice to see everybody tonight. Hi, Linda Thompson. And of course, we have our Jay, who's already here. We have Debbie No, and Lisa Niedermeyer, and Marby. Here's Annie Bear, and she said, what actually makes it magic is when we actually connect to it and realize it.
Mm-hmm.
And we go, how did that happen?
How did that
What did I do?
We're full of doubt. We tend to be full of doubt because we don't think we're that powerful. But our words are that's why they're called, why it's called spelling, right, Diana?
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. So Annie, I love that comment. That's wonderful. We have Lori Hunsinger here. And who else came in the door? We have Sherry, Voices from the Swamp. Yeah. Thank you for being here, Sherry. This is late for you, girlfriend. Well, no, it's 9:00. Okay. We have Rossi and Jamie Johnson. And Mary Thornberry has a comment. This community is magic, and this platform is magic. And we are just beginning to cast our spells, our magic, absolutely superpower. How wonderful, Mary. That's wonderful. Thank you. And so thank you. I think, is your birthday coming up? Well, I didn't know that. Happy birthday there.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
And Juanita says sometimes she just mentioned tarot and people say, oh, that's not allowed in my house.
Yeah.
Still. Can you believe it? Still.
Yep. Very close-minded people. Very definitely. Hi, Mousy Girl. I'm glad to see you tonight. And Warrior Girl says, Jay, yes, ever since my boys were little, I encouraged them to talk about their dreams and try to understand them, unlike the adults in my life when I was growing up and was told to ignore them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a great share, Warrior Girl. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, your birthday's next month. Okay. That's okay. You can start to celebrate now.
Right. We're in Libra season. Are you a Libra?
Right. Yes. I've been doing puzzle apps and I love them. Good for you. This is a great mantra. Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Laura Hammond Davis is here. Wow, we have a lot of folks here. I'm so pleased you're all here. Thank you so much. We have Patricia Franzino, and appreciate that. Yes, it is, Janet, the 29th, and welcome, honey. Yes. I'm going to be 39 once again.
Oh, are you? I'm celebrating with you. Every day at 2:55, I have my Libra rising.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And you know what, Carolyn? This is ironic, but Valerie lives in Virginia. She lives in
Virginia Beach. At the Edgar Cayce Center.
At the Edgar Cayce. There you go. So,
I sure do, yeah.
Hi, Patty. Nice to see you too. If I missed anybody, gosh, it wasn't intended. Oh, your daughter is on the 29th. Oh, that's fabulous. Hello, Wildflower. and we've got Sonia here, and we've got Pierrette here, and we've got,
Right.
oh my goodness, Kay Muldoon,
I love
Carolyn.
Yeah.
Major.
Yeah.
We are the champions.
You know, a lot of people don't spend time saying hello to the chat, and I think it's important because
Yes.
we wouldn't be here without you. So we thank you so very much. And Gypsy JJ, hi, honey. I see you just came in. Yeah.
And we have the best chatters, as Gerald would say.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
definitely. Definitely.
Best
Absolutely.
chatters. And this is what brings the energy, right?
It does.
Energy,
Oh, yes.
the magic.
It helps. It brings in the magic from the outside. Think about all the people on their phones or computers writing it, spelling.
Yep.
They're spelling. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
All the time.
All the time. Yeah.
And don't you just love when there's this interaction that the people are thinking with us and not just commenting, but part of the whole conversation.
Yep. Yep. I get it.
Yeah, they're engaged.
Well, I'm sorry we're keeping you up, but we're glad you're here, Sonia.
Yeah. We're glad to keep you up, Sonia.
Yes, I know. I know. So I want to turn over, I want to talk about astrology, and I want to talk about spirituality, and I want to talk about all the ways we can create magic. But I'd love to start. One of the reasons I wanted Jay here so badly was because she is so creative with her jewelry. And look at the background she has. She's already, I guess you must like Halloween. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I
awesome.
Just the theme of it, the theme of, I still like to trick or treat if I can get away with it.
Good for you. Good for you. When I was in college, we'd do trick or drink.
That was a long time ago. I remember those days.
Very long time ago. Very long time ago. Anyway, Jay, I want to know what inspired you to want to do your own creative pieces that you do, and what does it, how does it make you feel when you're putting something together like that?
Uh-oh.
Are you there, honey? Oh,
freezing.
She's frozen. Oh, okay.
Lots. Well, I guess it pretty much stems from when I was. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yep.
Am I? Can you hear me now?
I can.
Am I good?
Yep.
Testing. Yes. I'm good. No.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. You can hear me fine?
Yes.
Okay. It started probably when I was a kid.
Oh, okay.
And my dad and my grandparents, they wore like really big turquoise jewelry, and they were, were part Cherokee. So they always wore like a lot of rings and a lot of jewelry. And like I still have a lot of their pieces, but it was my mom, did the same thing. And so when I started going through, as a child does, her mom's jewelry box, just seeing, it was that age where everybody kind of still dressed up. You still, it was the shoulder pads, and you put on the nylons and the pearls and all of that just to, get dressed up. But how it really started was once I started getting into healing and crystals and finding out that they made them into jewelry. That's when I was like, oh, it's on now. Because everything that I want to wear, I think, okay, is it practical? Is it functional? And is it fashionable? Yeah. And can you make it that way? So if you need something that is going to balance your
Oh, she's just got so many buffering issues. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. The fuchsia color she was wearing of her dress, it just was gorgeous. I'll bring her in if she can come back, but I'm not sure her internet is working the way she'd like it to. Hello, Nancy. Nice to see you here too. Valerie, talk to us about what it is that you enjoy. Well, you're certainly into the astrology now,
Yeah.
but what other kinds of things are you interested in doing creatively?
Well, I like to learn. I like to. Well, go ahead. Let Jay finish.
Okay, Jay, you want to finish what your thought? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. It's a rainstorm outside and my internet is just crazy right now. Can
Okay.
you hear me okay?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Where was I?
Well, you talked about the energy of
Um,
the stones and how you wanted to utilize stones that brought that energy into the jewelry that you were wearing. Yeah.
yeah. And so learning about all of the different stones and what they do, as well as going to places and touching them and feeling them and knowing that like something was different with these. These aren't just rocks.
Right.
They're not
Yeah.
just, they all have, even they could all be, labradorite, let's say. But each
Yep.
one, to me at least, feels different.
I agree
And
with you.
when I touch
Yes.
them, they make my hands vibrate. They make me feel a kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that is really hard to explain unless you're into it in that way. So what I started doing was using the knowledge that I had with how the stones work and how the body works and what you want to accomplish, whether it's getting rid of some pain or balancing chakras or,
Mm-hmm.
working on, your fear or your throat or get rid of headaches. So for
Yep.
instance, I will create a piece that goes like across my third eye all the way here and I'll clip it in my hair. And then I'll have like a little gem that sits here and it'll
Uh-huh.
be, like a purple fluorite stone. And so
Mm-hmm.
when I'm doing certain work or whatever, I will specifically put like copper wire because it's a conductor of energy, and
Mm-hmm.
it kind
Yeah.
of makes it even more powerful.
More powerful.
Um, and yeah, so I just started creating all of these different pieces that like even with I don't have it now because I had to run around and stuff, but there's one that I have that goes down like the front of my hand
Uh-huh.
and it connects to my wrist.
I think I've
And
seen that. It's like a
let me just
slave
show.
bracelet.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yes. And it shoots down. So when it goes, I have it in hematite and it goes around like my middle finger and
Uh-huh.
it'll be tiger's eye and it'll go up. And so when I'm holding stones or channeling or doing cards, the energy moves up my left arm and down my right. And as I'm shooting the cards, it goes in there and there's kind of a circular energy that starts to form, like a vortex. And
Yes.
and you get into like a zone. Yeah.
Sure.
And
Sure.
so I just kind of started playing around with that. And I made anklets to make sure that the energy went from the top
Grounded.
to the
Mm-hmm.
bottom.
Yeah.
And yeah, and so it would just depend and I have so many ideas, but when I really get excited it will take me a while to get pieces together.
Sure.
And for you, Ali, this was one that I made. It
Oh.
has a little, it's a chakra and shungite bracelet, but it
Nice.
has a little, you can see, hold on, it has a little Buddha on it.
Ah.
The little charm.
Yeah,
If you can see it.
that's one. Oh,
See that little
yes. I
charm?
see
Yeah.
it.
There he
Yes.
is.
How
Yeah.
beautiful.
So,
Yeah,
Aw.
that's lovely.
yes. So I will be sending that this week for you. I
Okay.
have it charging on my selenite, so it's
Okay.
charging here.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Um, but yeah, I charge them and then I take my tuning fork and my sound bowl and my all of my stuff and
Yeah.
I put prayer into it and then I once I make it and I send it out, then I give instructions on how to program it because you can program anything.
Yes.
And
Mm-hmm.
so each one of my pieces I program for different things.
That's
And
fabulous.
yeah, so that's kind of how I work.
I love it, Jay. And maybe as time goes on, I don't know if you've ever seen crystal grids and how they work, but that
Mhm.
might be something you could look
Yes.
into as well. They're just awesome. And
They're all, yeah, I use them all the time.
good.
Yeah, I print out, print out depending on what it is I'm
Yep.
working with. And yeah,
Yep.
my nephew though finds the papers and he starts to color and he's like, "Ooh, let's draw." And I'm like, "Oh, what'd you do with all the pretty stones, honey? Where'd they go?"
Right.
You know,
Right.
yeah.
They're
So
on the floor
it's nice.
somewhere. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Or yeah,
Oh.
or the cat or somebody, yeah, is playing with it in the hallway. But
Yeah. Wow. Well, thank
yeah.
you, dear.
So
That's amazing. Yeah,
that's
it is. It's
yeah.
wonderful. Sonia says she has a few pieces of jewelry and clothing of that. Everybody loves either your dress or your top. The color of it is just stunning. And person accessory, she said she worked in a department store and it was dangerous. Oh, I believe that. It was, yeah, it's fun to dress up. Definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Leave your
You always
paycheck
rock
there.
you rock the look, Jay. I have to say, you're probably one of the best rockers of the look on here on YouTube. You always look so beautiful and you're coordinated. So thank you. Thank you for
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yep. Queen Aja Jean says she's learning to do crystal grids. Wow, that's wonderful. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah. I think that things are opening up for us more and more, or we may be going back to something that we did previously.
Yeah.
As Jay did, because she started doing the jewelry when she was younger, but she just changed and moved it into a new direction. So Valerie, talk to me, girl. What would you say?
I do the same thing. Like I just put prayer, I put intention into everything I do. I'm surrounded by crystals all the time. I have grids everywhere. It's just I just make magic a part of my everyday existence. So every moment is an intentional moment, and
Right.
it just I'd have to say like I really just started doing this every day probably I don't know about 3 or 4 years ago when COVID started because I really didn't have time before that. Right, it was we were always busy
Correct.
working and stuff, and my life is so different from putting that intention in every day into my day, you know, and just being in conversation with spirit all the time and having that as your basis, your foundation, that makes the rest of your day just it's just so smooth and beautiful.
It is. It is. A lot of you don't know, but when I first started my channel and I worked with Susan Lynn every week, we asked for anybody in the chat if they had a near-death experience to let us know. And if they would be interested in coming on the show and talking about it. Well, Valerie did. And from that point on, I just fell in love with that Valerie girl, I tell you. And she has grown so much. She is, she can tap into the astral realms. She can do readings. She can do cards. She can do astrology. I mean, there isn't anything she's not willing to try.
Right.
And it's been very successful for you.
Thank you. And that to me is like one of the main points, right?
Yep.
You don't know until you try.
Correct.
And if you set up that moment prior to with your spirit, Mother, Father God, your higher self, your guides, guardians, angels, dragons, elementals, they all come in to help you. And bring. I mean, and it's everything from.
All you got to do is say, "Hey, can you come help me?"
Yeah, it is so cool.
That's magic right there. Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
It is, and I guess the main point would be to trust and have faith and believe in that, believe in yourself, and believe in the spirit realm. But yeah, you create anything, and the more you put that intention into it, I can't even explain how awesome everything has turned out. It's turning out really nice.
It really is. And you're really rocking astrology and having a lot of readings for people. Linda G is always helpful for all of us, but she gave you that extra help, and she's fabulous. I mean, I got to meet her, so I was like, wow, this is awesome. But
Yeah, it
thank
was
you.
awesome. And see,
Yeah.
I had a grid going, and it was an
Yep.
abundance grid. It wasn't so much a money grid, but
Yep.
Diana painted me a dragon. I
Uh-huh.
put the dragon on behind it, and I was just adding little things. And this was over all throughout the spring, well, probably from equinox on. And
Okay.
I just kept
Adding to it.
adding to it and adding more energy to it. And I I have to move and I have to take it down, and I really don't want
I don't blame you. Moving sucks anyway, but you know, it would be the same with me if they told me I had to move and I had to move all this stuff. And it just never would look the same to
look
me.
at
I
all
don't
this.
know. Yeah,
I'm
I know.
never gonna do it.
I know.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. So, Diana, you have been very instrumental in teaching me so much, honestly. I know you don't have your own channel, but we got you on here all the time doing things with us, and we just adore you. And everybody probably knows, if you don't know, she is oil painter that's her name here. And she is an oil painter. She can draw. She oh my God, she can read tarot. She's wonderful. So talk to us, Diana. Talk to us about your creativity, because you're now reading also outside the house, right?
Yeah.
In a job.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. I was born a very small child. I saw my first alien. I was just right around turning 5 years old. But from the very beginning of time, I've been talking to my angels. I mean, out loud, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I would be having these full-blown conversations, and I can hear my mom telling my dad, "Who's she talking to?"
Yep.
So my first, there are the angels, and all children, I believe, see their angels. At least I did.
Yep.
But there was one guide in particular that I had with me since I was 4 years old. And I always called him the chief.
Oh.
Well, it took me until 2009 to understand that he was a real man that was in the territory I grew up in Detroit.
Okay.
He had a history, and his name is Tonquish, which means old rogue.
I've met him.
You've met him.
Really?
And
wow.
It's just amazing how quickly we tune in when we're little.
Right.
How quickly that has to take a back seat because we go to Catholic school, or because we're always going to church and saying prayers and talking to the spirit anyway.
Sure.
When they used to say the mass in Latin, and the words were "Ecum spiritu tua," I used to think they said, "Here comes the spirit through the wall." But essentially, that's what it means.
Which wall? Which wall?
I'm looking for.
That's what it sounds like. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Exactly. And basically, that's what it means. It's Latin, right?
Okay.
Here comes the spirit.
Okay.
May the spirit be with you.
Be with you, and also with you. Right.
Right. And so I have been in church as an adult, no longer going to mass, but using it for the sake of sanctuary. I have connected, especially with like St. Joseph, felt his arm around my shoulder. Yeshua felt his arm around my shoulder. And there's just this astrology in my chart that sometimes I go, who's this lucky person? Because I have, I just have a chart
all laid out there, though, right? It was all laid out. Yeah.
It was all laid out. And, you have free will. You can't necessarily make it come true. And you know how things are happenstance.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like I was always interested in that from the time I was 4 years old, laying on on the grass on my back with my brother at night in the summer, staring at the stars,
Sure. The
or
infinity of the
looking at the
beautiful universe.
microisms between the blades of grass.
I get it.
In the grass,
right?
Yeah.
So there's,
Oh, wow.
and we're 4. We don't know these words, and we're already acting like little Einsteins.
Yeah.
So that's how
But
it
we
started.
know so much of our past life at that point, and everybody
Yes.
thinks we're having a wonderful imagination. If they don't believe in that.
Exactly. So as life kept coming at me and things, I still was always able to manifest. And my lucky chart, my lucky stars, have presented me with the ability to fall into jobs that allowed me the freedom
to pursue your other pursuits.
To pursue, yes, and to be able to stay present in whatever my job was. And so when it comes to art and books and being able to write and all that stuff, because all my guides have an incantation. It's just something that I've always been able to do as a little kid. Walked around with my 3 special books, The 12 Dancing Princesses, Mary Poppins and the Gingerbread Store, and Mrs. Puffin. I mean, Mrs. Ticklefeather and her bird Puffin.
Her bird Puffin.
Okay. And those were my 3 favorite books. There was a 4th, my teddy bear, but my mom wouldn't let me take it outside anymore because it was getting so beat up. And I would cry if she didn't read that to me at night.
Sure.
So anyway.
Wow.
So there was that, and there was always a piece of paper, and there was always either crayons and pencils in a suitcase with the toy dishes and all the salt and pepper and sugar out of my mother's cupboard. And down the street, I'd go to my friend's house, and we would play witch. Only we didn't know we were playing witch, but we were making up concoctions and drawing and sewing doll clothes. And so now, crystals are in every room, and 100 tarot decks later.
Oh, I know. Welcome to my world. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. Wow. So Carolyn said she has a fixed grand cross: Uranus, Mercury, Jupiter, Moon, South Node, Venus, but she can't get the rest out because her computer's not working right now. But that's a pretty cool. Is that a pretty cool thing?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
A fixed grand cross. That's in fixed signs.
Oh.
Yeah, that's great.
It is. Yeah, that's awesome. Froxy says, I remember when I was a young girl, I would love to look at the clouds and imagine castles and the sunshine dancing in my hair. I think if we were allowed.
I still do that.
Yeah.
What do you mean when you were a little girl? Aren't you still doing that?
So you're keeping your inner child busy. Yeah. But I think if we were allowed to be that, and our parents, were okay about all that, that it helped us a great deal. I mean, it helped us just to be who I had an invisible friend named Billy. I don't remember much about him, but I'm sure he was probably a past life person or something. I don't know. But, I just, and books, I would every week, my dad would take me to the bookstore and we'd get books and we'd read books. And I had all the golden books, and, so
I still have them.
Good for you. I've moved so many times that I've thrown a lot of stuff away that I wish I had kept, but you can't do that when you move too much. But okay. So Sonia had a chart done yesterday, made so much sense about my journey. Susie Gemini did it. Good for her. She was helpful.
Good.
Did a great job. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. I remember, and I talked about this before, but I was curious about everything and how do you begin, And so I started with a sort of a past life or an astrology chart back in the 80s. And it told me all the things that had happened prior to where I was stepping into that room with that woman. And I thought, there's no way this woman knows this. And it's in my chart. it's in my chart. It has to be true. So, that was one thing. And then I went into the stones, and I went into anything. I read every book that I could get my hands on, but I'm still learning.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like that we have to make sure that we tell people that. We
Yeah.
don't know we're never going to know anything. Socrates said, all I
and
know is I don't know anything.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well,
And it's still fun.
It is fun. It's
Oh my
fun.
God.
It's exciting.
It's so much fun. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's so much fun.
Uh-huh. So let's talk a little bit first about spirituality, and then we'll talk about astrology, because I want to give you gals the forum for that. I grew up, I'll start with myself. I grew up in a congregational Christian church in New England. I was a Sunday school teacher for the 5th graders. I was in the International Order of Rainbow Girls. That was like a Masonic order for young girls. My mother and father bought me a Ouija board on my 11th birthday because they had no idea that it was a bad thing, and I wanted one. Fortunately, I don't think I created any problems, and it ended up being boxed away. But as time went on, it was always something, but there was not much available at the time. In the 70s, 60s. You didn't find books on stuff like this. But it's always been a part of my life, and I ended up taking classes and learning about Buddhism and Hinduism and Judaism and Confucianism and Jainism and Judaism. I'm sorry, I already said that. Anyway, all the religions, and I read a lot of the books, and Native American stuff. And I believe everything is the same, honestly. It's just presented differently. And I don't have to go to a church in order for me to be able to talk to him or whoever I do talk to. So my spirituality has always been what I call a Heinz 57, like a dog you don't know the background of, and I sort of take from all disciplines, but it's very freeing to do that. It really is.
Yeah.
So, Valerie, your spirituality?
Well, I've done the same thing. I was always interested in the unknown, the secrets. I wanted to know the mysteries and the secrets. So I love those types of books. Like you, I tried to find a lot of information. It just wasn't available back then. So, but I had so many profound experiences with ghosts or entities, and I don't even know. As you're a little kid and you're going in, oh, this is the haunted house, right? This house is haunted, and you go in and you can really feel it, and you understand that there is something here, and it's probably time to leave, or let's go. And not try to freak everyone out, but so many bizarre things like that. And I'd have to say, when I had my youngest son, though, he was preemie, and the nurse gave me a little box with an angel on it, and there was 3 crystals in there and a prayer cloth, and there was just something different about her. She was really an angel. So I don't even know how to explain that, and you're in this trauma moment, right? And a few days go by, and they kept saying he wasn't going to live overnight and things like that. But she was kind of always there, just like I knew he was, and I think she knew it too, but she couldn't say that as a nurse, because I was just standing there. You're in shock. But I saw what a lot of prayer did for him, and of all different faiths. And also, like you, ALEY, I did explore all the different religions to understand. I wanted to understand who this God was, what was going on here. And I knew the Bible was, not that the Bible's a bad book, it just didn't have all the information in it. And where's the rest of the information?
I need more information.
Yeah.
it just kept building on top of everything. And every time I entered like another phase in my life or a big thing in my life, it was always surrounded by the unknown mysteries in some way. So I just loved that stuff. I loved it, you know.
Yeah.
But I was, and you know what this feeling's like. You know, you're the one who's always in the metaphysical shops, and when you can't barely find any, and now they're everywhere.
Oh,
Thank
yeah.
God.
They're everywhere. Thank God.
Everybody,
Yeah.
yeah, everyone would
Yeah.
point at you like, "Oh, she's the weird one," you know, or the odd one. You just like,
You know, I've been
Yeah.
in class and I've said something about reincarnation before. And I said,
mm,
and I had to make sure that I said it in such a way that I said, there are religions that believe in
right,
reincarnation. And if you believe in it, then you can see we've lived before. But I have to be really careful how I say it, you know. And
Yeah.
same with UFOs.
yeah.
You can't, yeah, can't really,
Like,
even though now it seems a little bit better. But
yeah,
anyway.
but I used to, I'd just be like, do you really think we're the only life?
Yeah.
That whole big space
Yeah.
up there,
Yeah.
that
Sure.
we're the only ones
Sure.
here?
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
so
Yeah.
I
I
understand.
just never fell for the traditional anything. You
Good
know,
for you.
I knew there was
Yeah.
more to
Mm-hmm.
it.
You march to your own drummer. And I think that's what a lot of us
Yeah.
have done.
Yeah,
That's so good.
definitely.
So, Jay, I want to give you a chance to talk about your spirituality or how that developed.
Well, it's a lot like, you know, you all as well. I pretty much dove into everything I could get my hands on because all of the way that I was taught, it didn't really, not so much resonate, but it didn't make sense. I had way too many questions
Mhm.
because of the things that I was seeing that others couldn't see. And
Uh-huh.
so, being raised as, you know, my uncle's a pastor, and so was my
Oh,
grandfather on my mom's side.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
and we're Lutheran, and so we grew up in two different types of churches. And my mom's, Swedish Scandinavian church, which was an hour. That's it during Sunday, and then my other side of the family's church, which was several hours. But
Sure.
that's okay
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we had fun, and we left dancing and singing, and it was a good balance and an experience for
Yeah.
a biracial child, because being able to experience that with many cultures was, I think, the basis for me wanting to make my own, what I call like a gumbo mix of spirituality.
Mm,
Taking like a little bit of this and a little culture from here, and anything that I really resonate, where I'm kind of thinking, I know I've been this type of person studying this religion in another life. I know I have. And
Yep.
so it was just about, because people would look around, they're like, why do you have so many things of everything? And I'm like, because that's what we are. We're made up of everything. I just brought it with, and I try to match it and make sure it coordinates. But I mean,
Uh-huh.
it's all, you know, our
Yeah.
past. And
Mhm.
so I
Yeah.
still like to get with like-minded people in that way to learn about
Mhm.
their experiences, but I'm still learning.
yeah.
And I'm like you, Allie, with the Bible. I'm reading it. I'm like, there's something missing. I'm shaking it. I'm like, there's something missing. Yeah.
Well, they did take out several chapters,
Oh
Mhm,
yeah,
way back,
mhm,
and because they had
yeah,
reincarnation in it, and
mhm.
people couldn't
yeah,
have reincarnation because that means you get a second chance, and you won't behave yourself in this life if you have a second.
And we
Exactly.
lose our
yeah.
power while we're stealing yours.
Yeah.
Right. So I
Yep.
get it.
They had
I do.
UFOs. They had giants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
So
did. Yeah.
when I learned all that, I was actually mad. I was
Well,
mad
people get
because I
mad.
was like, this is not fair. Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
like, you didn't give me the option to say, you just said this is all you're working with. Now go with that. And I was
Mm,
Yeah.
like, no, no, I want to see it all. Yeah. So,
Yep.
but I've
Good for
always
you.
had my own spirituality outside of church. I bring it wherever I go.
that's
Yeah.
it.
Um,
I can
so
tell.
yeah,
I can
that's
tell
kind
you
of,
do.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
That's awesome. That's really great.
Mhm,
yeah,
You know, and that's living authentically, Jay, is what you're describing. It's being
mhm.
who you are, where you are, no matter where that is. So
Absolutely.
that's wonderful. That's
Mhm.
wonderful. So
Yeah.
Diana, I know you grew up Catholic, and you were a Reformed Catholic, but like you said, you do go once in a while because it's
well,
sacred.
I'm a recovering Catholic because of the
recovering. Yeah, recovering.
I believe in the spirituality, but faith is not religion. And just as you say, where is it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Every time I had a question, which was like, okay, so are you telling me that Jewish people, we have one God, they got the same God, but Jewish people can't go to heaven because they're not Catholic?
Right.
How does that work?
Right.
If God wants you to know the answer to that, he'll tell you when you die. That was the answer to that question. To so many different questions, right?
Yeah.
Can you imagine being a nun and having the kids come up, and say, how did Jesus walk on water? Did we have a picture of that?
God will tell you when you die. If you need to know.
That was me. That was me.
Yeah.
But I need a T-shirt that says, I belong to the Church of Gumball Spirituality. I love that. That's beautiful.
Well, there is a religion of during I think it was Kansas, and they said they wanted to pass an ordinance about religion, so they wanted to give everybody a chance to make sure that they didn't leave anybody out. So you had a certain amount of time, and there's one called the Flying Spaghetti Monster, the religion of the Flying Spaghetti Monster.
I know that one.
You know that one.
I know them.
And it's in their ordinance or whatever you call it. It is a religion. Yeah. So it is very interesting that church drove you to Jamie. Church drove you to spirituality. I think it just drove us to the curiosity of the other. That was so.
The others also have so much success with it.
Right.
I mean, yes. I'm a yogini as well, so Lakshmi and Ganesh, and they're all part of my spirituality as well. So how can we limit it to one religion when we're really all under the same umbrella of faith? Because that's where it all our manifestation begins with that. Faith in yourself.
Faith in yourself. And that's the magic. See, it keeps coming back to the magic. Every single thing we've talked about is magical. And we just have to really see that in our everyday life and take the time. Well, the Buddhists say, be mindful, be in the present moment, and realize what you are having right now is all there is. And the next moment will be all there is. But we don't have to worry about that right now,
because we're here.
Because we're here. That's right.
And it's so poignant because, you can pull it out of thin air if you're right in the moment. But you can't pull it out of thin air if it's in the future.
Correct. Because although if we do believe that past, present, and future is all the same, but if we spend too much time thinking about our errors in the past and too much time about what's going to happen next week, we deny ourselves the moment that we have right now. And I think that's really important.
And I was telling Jay this, and I've said it to Val, but I was telling Jay this. We can't, our fears, our shadow selves like to play a game of chase. They chase us and chase us and chase us. They haunt us in our dreams. They chase us when we go look in the mirror, as Trudy was talking about today with Cal, not being able to look in the mirror. Too much vanity. It's okay for you to brush your teeth and look, but hurry up, get out of there. That was the nun's analogy to us when we were kids. You couldn't wear a sleeveless blouse because somebody might see your bra strap. Oh my God. So, and now look at how people go to the store. Anyway, so
Sally's here right now, and thank you for being here, Sally Healer. And her show with Gertrude was great. What she read for me had exactly been cards I had pulled earlier in the day. And I got to share this though. Patty had a nun in an all-girls school who taught Latin, had a statue of the Virgin Mary in the back of the room, and caught a friend of mine cheating on a test and asked her if she was cheating. She said, "No, sister." And the nun looked at the statue and then looked at her and said, "I guess I heard wrong." That is fabulous.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Great share, Patty. Thank you.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, we've been on for almost an hour, but I do want to give just a little bit of time, at least, to our astrology. Because that is another part of creativity.
Oh, it is.
I want to certainly plug the fact that you ladies come on an awful lot on a lot of different channels. You come on the Crone Zone. You do stuff with Valerie on her channel with astrology. And of course, both of you absolutely do charts for people and do things for people.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to give you this few moments to just go ahead and talk about it if you'd like. Please do.
Where do we start, huh, Val?
Well, that's kind of like the spirituality question.
Okay.
You're looking up. You start looking up, and you're like, "Oh, there's just so much to this." Especially the UFO question. You can't be the only ones here. Just in grade school, and you learn the planets and that the galaxies, and I mean, just to me, it's like there's so much more than this. Yeah. But the planets, the energy of the planets, really just always fascinated me.
Absolutely. I'm not a math person, so I never could. When you had to make the charts.
I couldn't do that.
Thank God.
That's why I had to wait until I was
50
something, and they came out with an app.
Yeah, I get it.
There's an app for that. Yeah.
But you have to know. You have to be able to still read and discuss and how things work, and and all.
And it is a part. And there's a strong part of intuition. And our ability to read tarot and all the other business. I mean, the tarot is even aligned with the stars and the Kabbalah. I mean, there's so much compacted into all of that. And so astrology got a bad name, but excuse me, astronomy came out of astrology, not the other way around. And who was it who found the baby Jesus? Oh, right. Those guys who were following the star in the sky. Give me a break. But God will give me the answer when I die if I need to know to be happy.
Right.
I need the answer now.
Yeah. And so, there's positive aspects and negative aspects. No. There's easier aspects, and there's aspects that challenge you to your highest self. And that's the way to look at it.
I agree. And if you know what they are, you can work with those aspects.
Exactly. That's why everybody should, if you understand your chart, you can understand the transiting stuff over you.
Yeah.
Inspiration that gives you an aspect to something in your chart, let alone your own blueprint.
Right.
We all have gifts that are a harmonic, something that we're working on all the time for fine tuning. We all have squares. And a lot of people have T-squares. And a lot of the most famous people have T-squares.
That they do.
Often a lot of T-squares.
Sure.
And so I've joined the handful of astrologers who are calling a T-square a talent square, because when you rise to a T-square, you're putting your best foot forward.
Talents.
Yep, you're using your talent.
And this is why Diana and I come on for the moons, the new moon and the full moon every month. There are certain energies that are prominent at that moment. And if you know how to use those attributes and bring it in, and a lot of times the way we explain it, Tina, you really don't even know your chart. Knowing your chart helps immensely, but you don't have to know it the way we explain it.
Right.
And because it's like doing a Celtic cross.
True. Yes.
It's just like reading that. You just have to change the language you use, but the premise is the same. You got 4 suits, you got the major arcana, you got the court cards in the minor arcana, and you got 12 houses, you got 12 signs, you've got 9 planets and a plethora of asteroids and fixed stars. And it works the same way as doing that. So just change suits to houses. Major arcana to planets.
Absolutely. So
go
ahead, Jay.
No, I was just going to say really quick, in a way that like these wonderful ladies explain it in the best way, and utilizing it and looking at my chart and looking at my family's chart, and then using the cards to, like, I'll use crystal cards to figure out which crystals I kind of want to work with, or let's say like it's the full moon in Aries, which I'm an Aries, so I know that like some fire energy or some jasper, that's why I'm wearing the red jasper. But I try to incorporate the crystals during these transits to help harness that energy to help me get to where I want to go or heal what I need to heal within the chart. That's how I use all that to create the magic that, you know, that has all of those things combined.
All those components. Very much so.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. And Mary, the oldest science in the world, if we lived back then, we would know the stars as well.
Exactly.
Because it's our only light. Yeah. How true. And you'd see the, you know, the, what do you call it? The meteorites or, you know, things in the sky. Yeah.
There were compasses. People followed the stars in order to travel over long distances in the desert to find the baby Jesus.
And others. And others. Jamie,
others.
You're right. She says this is all woven together, and it definitely is woven together. It's all a part of the magic. And you don't have to understand every bit of it to be magical or to live magically. I think it can be open.
And what is the one thing that holds true through all of it? Ritual.
Very true. Very true. Yeah. Yep. And altars help create that too. I mean, we have rituals. We don't even think of them as rituals. We get up in the morning and we go brush our teeth and we take a shower. We put our shoes on a certain way, you know, you drive to work a certain way. There's so many things that are ritual that we just do rote. And so, you know, and then we have, you know, wedding services, and we have, what is it? Quintessina? Is that what they call it? The 15th birthday for the Latino girl. I'm probably saying
quinceañera.
Quinceañera. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, quinceañera. Yes. We just went through that with a family friend. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So yes. So, and of course, Christmas is a ritual, and so is Thanksgiving.
Yeah. And you know, some traditions you just can't shake. Like, I have to have my Halloween and I have to have my Christmas, and I got, you know, and those are the 2 seasons where I may use the English word for it rather than the Ogum. But an altar is a great place that holds space for you and holds the intention for you when you have to go off and do all that other stuff.
But there's no rules either. No. You can have an altar however you want it. It could be on a bed. It could be on your bureau. It could be special. And what do you put on it? Whatever you want.
Whatever you want.
You got the. You make up your own rules. You make up your magic. There you go.
And it's about being in the moment. Just always be in the moment. And
be present.
And speak into this moment. Live. That's right. That's living your life.
That's living your life.
You know?
Yeah.
Knock on the cards 3 times, right? What is that? That's the trilogy. That's Maiden, Mother, Crone. That's, you know, Tesla's code.
Right, I know. 369.
And Tesla's code, 369.
That's right. There is so much more that could be discussed here. We'd be here all night. But I love that you came on and we talked about this, especially going into the fall season.
Yeah.
And when the seasons change, people change, things change, and we change our routines and so on. And so I'm so happy to have had you here, ladies, with me tonight to talk about these things. Thank you.
Thank you. This was a great idea.
Yeah.
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 We could go on for more.
I'm sure we could. So we'll have to
Yeah, we
save it for
could.
another
We
day, but
could.
I love it. And thank you,
Sure.
everybody that has been, watching,
Yeah.
listening, and commenting. We love you all. Thank you.
Yeah,
Take care
we
of
do.
yourselves.
Love you
Make
all.
your own magic.
And ALEY, have a happy birthday this week.
Happy
Okay.
birthday.
Do I have to?
Yes.
Have 2
Yes.
Starbucks.
Two star.
2 Starbucks. Okay. Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you for the permission. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Of
Oh,
course.
thank you, Glenda, and everybody. We're
Thank
so happy you
you.
joined us tonight. Have a wonderful evening. And we got a
Yeah.
44 in the house, and that's an angel number. So there you go. That's
Yes, that's my
That's
angel
That's
number,
magic.
44.
There you go.
Mhm.
All right.
Yep.
Take care, everybody. Thank you. Thank you
Bye,
so much.
everyone.
Bye-bye.